You can lose everything without a single argument, just one careless word, one phrase that slips out, and suddenly the room changes. People no longer see strength in your eyes, only hesitation in your tone. Power is fragile because it's carried in language. Every sentence either builds your presence or bleeds it out. The undisciplined tongue betrays the undisciplined mind. Think of how often you've said something small, an unnecessary apology, a hesitant maybe, a dismissive whatever, and immediately felt smaller. It wasn't the situation that defeated you. It was your words. The Stoics understood this long before psychology gave it a name. Language programs the mind. Speak carelessly, and you live carelessly. Speak with discipline, and you become unshakable. Today, we're going to confront 5 verbal habits that silently destroy your authority. 5 invisible traps that steal your confidence, weaken your presence, and make others stop listening. Because if you want to live like a Stoic, strong, calm, unbending, it starts not with your thoughts, but with your tongue. The first word that drains your strength is one you were trained to say since childhood. Sorry. You use it like armor, but it's actually a leash. You walk into a room, speak your truth, then instantly pull it back with a sorry. You think it makes you polite. It actually makes you invisible. The moment that word leaves your lips without reason, you're telling everyone around you, my words don't matter as much as yours. Epictetus warned, no one can make you inferior without your consent. And every unnecessary sorry is that consent, a surrender disguised as kindness. A Stoic apologizes only when they've truly caused harm, not when others simply feel uncomfortable with their truth. There's a difference between humility and self-erasure. When you say sorry to avoid tension, you trade self-respect for approval, and approval is a weak master. So next time that reflex rises, stop, ask yourself, are you actually at fault or just afraid to take up space? Because strength doesn't whisper apologies for existing. It stands steady and silent, unashamed of its own voice. The second word that erodes your authority is maybe. It sounds harmless, flexible, open-minded, but to a Stoic, it's a signal of weakness. Maybe reveals hesitation, and hesitation is the death of respect. When you say maybe, you train people not to trust your judgment. You invite them to lead while you step back. Imagine a commander on the battlefield saying, maybe we attack. His soldiers would freeze, unsure, afraid. The same happens in daily life. You tell a friend, maybe I'll start working out, and your own mind hears the doubt. Maybe doesn't move mountains, it builds excuses. Marcus Aurelius warned, a man's worth is measured by the things he pursues. When you speak in half decisions, your pursuits vanish into air. The Stoic path demands clarity. Yes or no, not maybe. Because when your words are uncertain, your life becomes uncertain. So remove maybe from your vocabulary. Replace it with intent. Replace it with direction. Conviction isn't arrogance, it's presence. And presence makes the world listen. The third word that silently poisons your power is can't. You've said it before, we all have. I can't wake up early. I can't change. I can't handle this. It feels honest. But in truth, it's a quiet act of self-destruction. The moment you say can't, your mind stops searching for solutions. You hand your power to the problem. Seneca once wrote, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And that's exactly what can is. Imagination disguised as truth. The Stoic warrior never says, I can't. He says, it's difficult, but possible. Because difficulty is not defeat. It's the training ground for strength. Every challenge you face is an invitation to expand your capacity. When you replace can't with, I will try, your brain shifts from paralysis to purpose. You stop waiting for confidence to appear and start creating it through action. A Stoic doesn't fear failure. He fears surrender. So banish can't from your language. Speak possibility, act with resolve, and let your words forge the mindset of someone who endures. The fourth word that drains your spirit is whatever. It hides behind indifference, pretending to be peace, but it's actually apathy in disguise. Whatever says, I don't care. Even when you do, it tells the world that your opinion, your presence, your choices don't matter. And when you repeat that long enough, people start believing you, they stop asking for your input. They stop looking to you for leadership. Marcus Aurelius warned against this quiet decay when he wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Indifference is not strength, it's withdrawal. When you say whatever, you detach from your own life. The Stoic doesn't float through existence. He engages it fully. He chooses deliberately. speaks with intention, and stands behind his decisions. So, next time you're tempted to shrug and say whatever, replace it with presence. Here's what I think. Here's what matters. Power lives where attention lives, and whatever is the language of those who have already surrendered their focus. The fifth trap is the language of extremes. Always and never. These words are emotional weapons that turn communication into combat. You never listen. You always forget. They sound powerful, but they're poison. They exaggerate, distort, and destroy trust. When you speak in absolutes, you stop describing reality. You start attacking it. And once the other person feels attacked, truth no longer matters. Only defense does. Epictetus cautioned, what upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about things. Always and never are flawed judgments that shut down understanding. They remove nuance. They erase progress. They turn one mistake into a permanent identity. A Stoic uses precision, not exaggeration. Instead of saying, "You never respect me," he says, "I felt disrespected in that moment." That's power. Calm, clear, constructive. Extremes make you reactive. Precision makes you respected. And remember this, people trust the speaker who names things truthfully, not dramatically. If you wish to influence others, master your tongue, not their emotions. Every careless word has a cost. You might not see it immediately, but the damage accumulates like rust on iron. Each sorry, maybe, can't, whatever, or never weakens your presence a little more, until one day people stop hearing you altogether. That's how authority fades, not through one great mistake, but through thousands of small concessions. The Stoics understood this deeply. They trained their speech as they trained their mind, with discipline and precision. Epictetus told his students to speak little, and only of what is necessary, because the man who wastes words also wastes energy. When your language is weak, your actions follow. But when your language is firm, your body and mind align with purpose. This is not about sounding confident, it's about being congruent. Your words are the mirror of your mind. If you clean the mirror, you see yourself clearly. If you leave it dirty, even truth becomes distorted. So, ask yourself, what kind of reflection are your words creating? Powerful speech doesn't mean loud speech. It means controlled speech. The Stoics weren't showmen. They were masters of inner alignment. They knew that clarity of thought produces clarity of expression. You don't need to shout to be heard. You need to speak from conviction. When your words come from truth, they strike with quiet force. Picture a leader who rarely speaks, but when he does, the room falls silent. That silence isn't fear, it's respect. Because restraint is magnetic. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." The same applies to speech. He who controls his tongue controls his freedom. Unfiltered emotion may feel powerful in the moment, but it weakens you over time. Precision gives you control. Calm gives you presence. The Stoic understands that every word should serve purpose, to build, to guide, to lead, not to fill silence or prove worth. When you speak less but mean more, people stop hearing noise and start hearing authority. Modern psychology now proves what the Stoics already lived by. Your language shapes your reality. Every word you use reinforces a mental pattern, either of strength or of submission. When you keep saying sorry, you train guilt. When you say maybe, you train hesitation. When you say can't, you train helplessness. And when you say whatever, you train apathy. Over time, your brain builds neural pathways that match your speech. You literally become what you repeatedly say. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Today, we could add, "and the tone of its words." The Stoic warrior filters speech not for perfection, but for purity of intent. Before speaking, he asks, will these words strengthen my mind or weaken it? That single question separates discipline from decay. Because words don't just describe your mindset, they design it. The person who speaks with clarity programs their brain for power. The one who speaks carelessly trains for mediocrity. You can tell a person's disciplined by how they speak when emotion hits. Anger, fear, pride, these are the real tests of control. Anyone can sound wise when calm. Only the trained can sound calm when tested. The Stoics practiced this through silence. When insulted, they paused. When provoked, they observed. They refused to let emotion dictate expression. Because the moment you let feelings steer your tongue, you lose sovereignty over your mind. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." So, when you feel the urge to speak impulsively, to defend, to explain, to prove, stop. Let the storm pass. Choose your words, like a swordsman chooses his strike. Deliberate, precise, necessary. This is not weakness, it's strategy. Silence isn't avoidance, it's control. Because the less you react, the more power you command, and when you finally speak, your words carry the weight of discipline, not the noise of emotion. That is Stoic dominance in action. True verbal mastery isn't about eloquence, it's about alignment. When your speech, thoughts, and actions all move in the same direction, you become unstoppable. People feel it before they even understand it. They sense the congruence, the internal order. A Stoic's words match his behavior. There's no gap, no performance. That's why their presence commands trust without effort. In contrast, the undisciplined person speaks one thing and lives another, promising change but staying the same, preaching control but reacting to every emotion. Their words lose power because they no longer carry truth. Marcus Aurelius urged himself daily, let your actions be worthy of your words. Every time you speak, you make a small promise to reality, to think, to act, to be consistent. When your words break that promise, your self-respect erodes. But when you keep it, you forge integrity, the foundation of real confidence. A Stoic's voice is steady because it comes from inner coherence, not performance. Discipline in language is not censorship, it's command. It means you no longer speak to impress, but to impact. You stop chasing validation with words and start using them as tools for clarity. Most people talk to be liked, the Stoic talks to be understood. When you train your speech, you train your leadership. In meetings, in relationships, in moments of tension, your tone becomes the anchor others trust. You don't rush to fill silence, you use it. You don't justify, you state. You don't ramble, you decide. The ancient Romans called this gravitas, the gravity of calm authority. It doesn't shout, it doesn't beg, it simply is. When your words carry this kind of weight, people don't just hear you, they feel you. That's what happens when you stop wasting language. Every sentence becomes deliberate, every pause becomes powerful, and your presence, once scattered, becomes unshakable. You must understand, your words are not just communication, they are calibration. They tell your nervous system what kind of person you are. Every "I can't" signals weakness to your brain. Every "maybe" teaches hesitation. Every "sorry" rewires you for submission. But when you start saying, "I will," "I choose," "I can," your physiology changes, your posture straightens, your tone deepens, your confidence rises. Modern psychology calls this linguistic conditioning, but the Stoics called it discipline of logos, the disciplined use of speech as a weapon of reason. You are training your mind every time you open your mouth. The Stoic doesn't speak to fill the air. He speaks to fortify his soul. Words become armor, not decoration. So speak with intention. Don't lie to sound confident. Speak truth with strength. Don't speak for approval. Speak for alignment. Because when your language matches your values, your energy becomes indestructible. You stop performing power and start embodying it. Weak language is a habit, and habits can be broken. You weren't born saying sorry or maybe. You learned them from a world that taught you to shrink. Society rewards comfort, not courage. It tells you that softening your words makes you likable. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Clarity is kindness, and firmness is respect. People don't need your apology. They need your certainty. They don't need your maybe. They need your direction. The Stoic doesn't fear being misunderstood. He fears being untrue to himself. So start today. Audit your speech. For one day, catch every weak word before it escapes. Replace sorry with thank you. Replace maybe with I will. Replace can't with I'll try. Replace whatever with this matters. And when anger rises, replace always and never with truth. Each correction sharpens your edge. Each act of verbal discipline reclaims a piece of your confidence. This is how inner power is rebuilt, one word at a time. There's a reason ancient philosophers trained rhetoric alongside virtue. They knew that speech shapes destiny. The Stoic doesn't speak for applause. He speaks for alignment with nature, with truth, with reason. Every word he utters is an act of self-definition. When you speak with care, you command not only others, you command yourself. Power, then, is not found in how much you say, but in how much of yourself is behind each word. The undisciplined mind speaks quickly and repents slowly. The disciplined one speaks slowly and never needs to repent. You can feel this difference in people. One scrambles to fill silence. The other uses silence as a weapon. The The Stoic silence is not emptiness. It is presence held tightly, waiting for the moment where words can strike cleanly, like steel. Remember, you can't control how others receive your message, but you can control the strength of your delivery. Speak less, mean more, let truth, not noise, be your sound. When you discipline your words, something profound happens. People begin to feel your stability. They can sense when your speech comes from grounded thought, not fleeting emotion. You stop reacting, you start responding. You stop talking to prove, you start talking to move. The Stoics called this euthymia, a state of calm confidence that comes from inner order. Your tone becomes slower, steadier, and heavier with meaning. You no longer need to convince anyone. Your presence speaks first. This is why Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Let your words be few, but let them be well chosen." The goal isn't to sound smart, it's to sound centered. When your speech reflects composure, it transmits peace to everyone around you. That's influence. That's leadership. The world already has enough noise, enough empty talk. What it lacks is men and women who speak from depth, who use words like arrows, not confetti, aimed, clear, and unforgettable. Every time you speak, you're declaring who you are, not through grand speeches, but through the small choices, the words you allow, the tone you control, the silences you hold. A careless tongue builds a careless life, but disciplined speech builds a disciplined soul. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. The mastery of the tongue is the mastery of the self. Guard your words, because they are the soldiers of your mind. Once released, they either defend your power or betray it. From this day forward, speak with purpose. Refuse to use words that weaken you. Remove sorry when it's false. Replace maybe with commitment. Turn can into courage. Bury whatever forever, and abandon always and never unless they speak of your resolve. Remember, your words are not decoration, they are destiny. The more disciplined your speech, the stronger your spirit becomes. Speak less, mean more, and let every word remind the world you are in command of yourself. Every word you speak shapes the person you're becoming. If you want to change your life, start by changing your language. Speak with strength, not apology. Speak with purpose, not hesitation. Every time you guard your tongue, you guard your mind. And when your mind is disciplined, your life follows. So today, take one step, remove just one weak word from your speech and replace it with power. Do this daily, and you'll notice something. People will start listening differently, and more importantly, you will start believing differently. Let this be the moment you take control of your voice and your destiny. If this message spoke to you, share your thoughts below. Tell me which word you're removing from your life starting today. And if you found value in this reflection, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening, and remember, your words shape your world. This is Stoic Power Lab.